Hey, muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. And as always, please allow me to show my appreciation to everybody for you guys' words, prayers, and your amazing support. From the heart, I thank you all. Now, to get into the story on hand, I'm going to continue a little bit on my story and touch on a question that has been asked a few times, which I will relate to something in my walk or my doings, right? And personal experience. The Maravilla issue had passed, and then as you guys know, the Guarito issue came, and then I eventually hit at sake. And as you guys are aware of a couple things that happened on hot sake, which I don't want to touch on again because I don't want you guys to think I'm being repetitive or, you know, it's just to make a video. You guys know it's about the message. And so anyways, I've been asked multiple times, how do Billies act or react when it comes to cartel members being busted? Do we ride with them? Do we extort them? Do we, that type of question. So going back to Ironwood, I'm in the hole already. Just a little bit has passed since the little issue with Evil and Cartoon from 18. The little we did what we did, and went through the headaches of management cell and waiting to get reclassified, and as it had been already a couple issues out there, right? So I went, and then they put me up for group yard again. So they gave me the group yard I was going to go to, and in this group yard there was a paisano on the yard that at first him and his family they were touching base to where it needed to go, but for some reason it stopped to some degree. I'm assuming it had to do with Cali being in the hole, right? Which is this paisa's name, because they weren't paisanos from Mexico, they were paisanos from Colombia. So as you guys could probably get from this is that they uh they had ways getting Dulce to where it needs to get. So that's where he's being protected. And when in reality, just to be sincere with you guys, this paisano made that mistake. Him as a Colombiano, he could have came, played paisano, everything would have been firmes. But there is those type of individuals in prison that have that way of thinking that I want to bring something to the table and offer this to get in the inner circle, which, of course, I was one of them dummies, right? But what they don't know that when they bring that to the table and for some reason or another they can't no more, then it becomes an obligation. There is not optional no more. It's not a respect thing. It's not a love thing for the raza. It's obligated. You can't cut off that pipeline no more, which is what happened here. And again, I got put up for the group yard, so I was asked at this time, that the Pili Sapo had already rotated as also from Hammett, the Señor. So it was all done through appeal, right? And it was sending appeals or wait for a visit and have that three-way go through, for example, get a visit Saturday, send palabra and get palabra Sunday. And so this got done, and it was right away I got the answer that I guess they felt that they were messing with the different side, with the norteño raza, which at this time they're entitled to, because we weren't under the same wing. Paisanos were gente, but they were not obligated to nothing. We didn't ride like that at this time. It was more like a respect thing, right? They could ride with whoever they wanted, to be sincere, up until the point where things change. So anyways, the clica or the carnales up there felt they got cut off, and they were starting to mess with norteños or their señores because of due to a couple other carnales from Cali that were in Quilmas and just prisons where camaradas and pilis will not be there, their presence will not be there, right? And the word came back from T that you know, we had to deal with this individual, but mainly to put pressure on that family to come back and work, right? Or to bring to the table, basically, because work, that's a strong word. So of course, at all times, a campolero or a camarada, he's giving orders. But the key of everything is always how you see these orders through. For example, at this time, myself had already came to the understanding for the little issues that arose there, that every action, even though they come from a Pili's mouth, it's gonna always be politic on. It's gonna always have backlash when it comes to another Pili. You're never gonna please them as a whole. There's always gonna be buts. Why? Because they're power hungry. They're always looking at the next member on what they're doing and how they can step in and take what's the other members think. Is again, there's no carnalismo, there's nothing there. And dispensa, but it's the way I personally see things, right? Is a Tecato way, right? Tecato's always looking for where can I get something for my next fix, right? So when T did this, I had to go and ask for advice, with R. And I told him, hey, look, regardless, I'm gonna see this go through, but I want you to help me so there ain't no pushback to where it becomes something that I got put out to do to something negative against myself. So he told me this, that I was to get a paisa, right? A paisano to do this with me. That way it will not ricochet back, right? And if it did, it would basically fall on the paisano's shoulders and it would be more like a support thing. So at this time, there was a cool paisano back there. He was a BB, Aguila from Nayarit. And he was a little fool, he always put his gente in line when it came to si se salían del calzón. If they got out of place, he would line them up and program the way things were supposed to be programmed, right? So we squared it up and at this time I was still dumb. For example, every time I went out to yard and something happened, we were gonna get pepper spray, speed hit grenades, and that takes 3 days. I remember you went out to pull the mission. I sat on the toilet for 3 days with water, just literally putting water on top of my head, cause every inch burnt from that spray, and especially Ironwood, they had those big fire extinguishers of it, and they left it, they're metal, so they left it out in the sun so that it picked up heat. So when they hit you with it, it could open up your pores and really sink up in you. So this paisano, Aguila, he told me like, hey, from here out till you get out, start saving your milk. So I had not heard this, right? So I started doing it. At this time, my celly was from Long Beach, and I've told about him. It was my primo that I took the rap for. He got out, and things happened. Anyways, so my primo wanted to go with me, but I told him, "No, Charles, you to go home." So we went out to yard, and I left it when it came back that I had to lean on a paisano to do this mission. I literally, I was going to pull it off, but I was going to leave it in Aguila's hands, the doings, the hows, that for the same part that I couldn't be the one deciding this. Was I doing the correct thing? I didn't know. That's the funny part. Everybody talks about politicking and holding yards and pulling missions, but nobody really talks about the real thing. Anybody could be a crash test dummy like I was. You could go out there, book someone, take care of a mission. At the end of the day, what's gonna happen when you pull this mission? The tower might hit you in the head and you're out. But that's understandable. I always went out there and did something knowing or thinking in my head, if it happens, it happens. I ain't gonna go farther than the floor. So, but I started putting things together on how to make sure I cover myself. Cause when they say it's a dog eat dog world, 1,000%, but in every angle, you know, Like I said, every decision a Pili makes is going to be questioned by 10 Pilis. Why? For multiple reasons. Either they have something against that Pili, they want his territory, simply they want you out the way for his soldados to come in, and take control, and they think you're in the way. There's so many things. Every step has to be taken by analyzing every angle of negative that's gonna come into the play, right? So, not to make things long, I disculpen, I put it in Aguila's hands, and he said, look, we're gonna whack him a couple times, and then we're gonna just put hands on him, and after that, let me talk to him in regards. If he wants to clean his stuff, he has to talk to his family, and he needs to start working where he needs to work. Cause at Aguila, he grew up in Huntington Park, so he was real fun of camaradas, right? Even though he was a border brother, but he understood the importance of us being under one flag as things are right now, right? So that's how things went. Camaradas went out there, and all eyes were on your dummy, cause again, I had just gotten back from management cell and walk alone, and so I went out there, shook the camarada's hands. A paisano from Cali, he looked like a homie straight up, tall, bald headed. He had real cool stilo with him, and real happy, and you know those are the other things people need to start. Again, everybody could pull a mission, but nobody talks about the backlash. For example, this man he was happy, outgoing, curious, and at the same time, I'm over here shaking his vice on, and I have a piece in my other hand behind, just waiting for him to start paying attention to something else, to hit him for another man's dope and money. Not 'cause he's done anything wrong. He's not a rapist. He's not a rat. He's not a child molester. They're trying to prove a point to have his family put dope in this individual's hands, put feria in their hand. They're not giving them that option to work with who they want to work. It is why, people get on here and they talk about these individuals, and you're always bad mouthing them. Speak facts. I could sit here and discuss 1,000 stories on how I went and took over a yard, and how I took over it, and I had strings and everything went cool, and how people politic to get me. But what is that gonna show? Talk to me about really the backlash. There was a lot of camaradas sitting in the shoe talking to legends, But anyways, things went down as they went down. I let allow Aguila to make the first hit, and then afterward I went in, hit him a couple times, then, we spin those to the side and we boogie. And they took us back in, it's all sprayed out, put us in the cages, and the paisa was wondering why, and Aguila took lead in that aspect, and, at the end of the day, him and his family came back into the fold and started working with them. And, be sincere, his family should have just said, you know what, F that, we're gonna go ahead and stop this. You guys already did what you did, but ain't nothing obligated. At this time, they had that room, right? And this is how people are fooled. Now, I'm not minimizing Aguila again. He was a cool paisa, cool border brother. But at the end of the day, he was worked to do what they wanted by me. In his eyes, he was doing something positive for his gente, when in reality, it was for this individual's venas and pockets, which I was meant to do, and I was willing to do at all costs. Am I proud of it? No, I'm not. It was where I was at the moment. I did it with heart. Now that is why I come on here and always say, don't go through the heartaches. Don't waste your life from being out there enjoying family, friends, kids, wife, to sit down in a hole and wait for a Tecato's word to come down and say, well, I ain't getting enough. Go ahead and cause chaos. You see that individual right there? Oh, he's kicking down $100, but I want him to kick down 500. Never done nothing in his life. He's still showing me love with 100, but his love ain't good enough. I want him to show me his love under my price. Another sense, I'll say it again and I'll say it as long as I'm on here. Nothing you do is ever enough. Nothing you put out there will never get to where it needs to get. It will be something. Well, it's a constant thing. Once that respect, that love you're showing from heart stops, then it becomes something you must do or you're considered no good. Again, value your life. Value everything. You know, T from Bassett, I consider him to be pretty legit guy, right? To have a good head, to always stick up for himself, his crew to some sense. And look at what happened in High Desert since he been out. What was he doing on the yard that almost caused, it's people come on here and they talk about, oh, it's not all of them. Prove me wrong. I'm not saying there ain't, but it comes a time where they have a choice to choose. Either fall in line with their carnales or take a camarada out the game just cause. And you can guarantee they're gonna choose their carnales. But again, mi gente, this was just a little story on what happens with cartel members, or even though they have no affiliation with us, not even with Paisas. At the end of the day, the MS program only has two things that are set in concrete. You produce for them or you're taking space. I send my love to everybody. Please stay true to yourself and loyal to your loved ones. God bless. Buenas noches.